Welcome to the Wellness Biz Academy, where we turn passionate practitioners into profitable practice owners. I'm Duffill, corporate business strategist and naturopath, showing you how to build a thriving practice with simple, proven systems that work. Let's create the practice that you long to have, because it's time to start living your passion and growing your practice. Hi everyone, and welcome to Empowered Marketing Unleashed. I'm Duffill, and I'm very happy to have you back here today. Today we are going to be talking about marketing, but a very specific area of marketing. I want to talk about one of the things that holds you back time and time again, and that thing is consistency. Consistency is so important when it comes to marketing, but it is the number one thing that entrepreneurs and business owners tell me that they struggle with. So today we are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what I call consistency killers. How can you identify these? How can you overcome these? These are the barriers that are stopping you from consistently marketing your business. And when you're not consistently marketing, you won't get consistent results and you won't get success. So that's why today we are going to be talking about consistency killers and how you can overcome them. First, though, before we get into that content, I think we need to talk about consistency and why it is so important. I really believe that it's the backbone of effective marketing. It is what builds trust. It strengthens your brand. It shares your message. It keeps your audience engaged. I know that maintaining consistency, yes, it can be challenging. You've got business, you've got life, you've got families, you've got hobbies, you've got all sorts of curveballs that could be coming your way. So today we're going to dive into some topics and explore some of these barriers that can be disrupting your consistency. And we're also going to be talking about tactics and actions you can take to overcome those barriers, because I want you to keep your marketing on track, because I want you to build the successful business that you want to have. Consistency is often confused. Consistency is not just about frequency. It's about maintaining quality. It's about maintaining an alignment with your brand values. It's about keeping consistent with your messaging. Consistency helps build a recognizable brand. It helps foster loyalty with the people who are in your audience and those people who are engaging with what you do. The one thing that you need to understand, though, before you go any further is when I say consistent, I don't mean constant. To me, consistent is about regular. It's about repetitive. It's about reliable. It's not about being constantly on a platform or a channel. It's about having a presence that is consistently there. Just like this podcast drops every Wednesday and a YouTube video drops on my channel every Thursday and an email from me lands in your inbox every Monday. That is consistent. I'm not sending you an email every single day of the week. I'm not posting a YouTube video every single day of the week. I have a schedule and I consistently execute it. And that's what I want for you as well, because consistency is crucial for creating success in your marketing and ultimately success in your business. I often get asked, though, how does consistency build trust? And consistency builds trust in a number of different ways, because for me, you've got consistency of the message, which is one element of building trust. And you've also got consistency of delivering, which is the other element of building trust. When we've got consistent messaging, it becomes really clear for our audience what we're talking about, what we stand for, how we can help them. When we are regular and consistent in how we deliver our content, that builds trust. Because think about it this way. If someone's looking to work with you over a period of time, you might be looking for them to sign up to work with you for 3 months, 6 months, even just 1 month. If you can't send a regular weekly email, how are you going to stay consistent and reliable enough to work with somebody for a month or 3 months or 6 months? I personally look at the content coming out from people, and I will look at their content for many, many months before I consider working with them. You know that I always have a coach. I always have a mentor in my business. I think it's really important to have somebody on your team to help you build your business. But before I go ahead and work with somebody, I get to know them really well through following their content and engaging with their content. If they are sporadic in their marketing, sporadic in their messaging, they're not somebody that I go to work with. So think about it from the client point of view and the audience point of view. What are you telling them by the consistency of the way that you're showing up? Your audience will come to rely on your content. They need to see you as an expert, as a credible source of information. They're not going to get that if you are sporadic in the way you deliver your content. It's also important to understand how consistency is going to build and strengthen your brand. There is nothing more important online right now than having a strong brand identity. Your brand is everything. So when you are consistent in things like the tone that you bring, the style, the messaging, the way that you show up online, it helps your audience recognize your brand. It helps them remember you, and it helps you be really recognizable across different platforms. It's also about improving engagement, because the truth is, when you are regular and predictable with your content, it helps keep your audience engaged. Believe me, I found this out firsthand earlier this year on YouTube. In the past, YouTube was not a thorough part of my marketing strategy. It was purely for repurposing. This year I changed it, and I actually added it as a cornerstone of my strategy. I had a little glitch on my YouTube recently where my video had gone up, but in my rush to get it up with so many other things going on, I had clicked a box and put it on the wrong date. So instead of my YouTube video dropping on a Thursday, I'd actually scheduled it to drop on a Friday. I didn't realize this though until I got a couple of emails in my inbox saying, "Where's your Thursday YouTube video?" So it was great for me to see that my audience actually do like my YouTube channel, and thank you for that. I appreciate you following me there. But it also reinforced for me how important it is to be regular and be predictable with our content. When they know to expect new content, they will look out for it, and they're actually more likely to interact with it. So now we have an idea of what consistency is and why it is so important. We need to get into the depths of what we're here to talk about, which is what is killing your consistency. So I'm going to start by identifying some of those more common ones that seem to happen, and we're going to discuss those. If these relate to you and you see some commonality here or similarity with how you are, feel free to reach out and let me know. Drop me an email or leave a comment, or even come into the Facebook group. I'd love to hear from you and hear what you think. Now, one of the first things I see that is a big killer of consistency is a lack of clear goals. If you don't know why you're doing something, it makes it really difficult to stay the course. It makes it hard to be taking action regularly, reliably, consistently, if you don't have a goal to be moving towards. For example, this podcast. When I started this podcast, my goal was to get to 100 downloads a week. To do that, I needed to be consistent, and I have stayed consistent. We are just touching on the first year of this podcast. We get consistently 100 or more downloads every week, and it's growing, and that's great. This started from a brand new concept with a cold audience, brand new audience. So I'm absolutely thrilled with where the podcast is at, and thank you to all of you for listening in. But it is essential that you define what those goals are. What does success look like for you on this? If it is email marketing, what is the point? Are you looking to grow to 10,000 subscribers? If it is a YouTube channel, what subscriber growth look like? Where are you aiming? So if you can ask yourself, what are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? That will give you something to aim for, and it will help you to stay consistent. The second killer of consistency that I see all too often is overwhelm and burnout. Hand up, who feels this? Who deals with this? It's pretty common, I know. This comes from trying to do too much all at once. It can lead you to feeling really burnt out, exhausted. It makes you lose your momentum. It's important that you can recognize the signs early on and take some really proactive steps. It comes from not being able to manage your workload. It comes from trying to do all of the things, taking on more than you can handle. What's important here is to make a plan. Make a plan that you can execute, that is reliable, that is consistent, but is not going to burn you out in the process. And remember here, things like delegating tasks, getting someone on your team like a VA who can help, and recycling your content. You don't need to have a brand new concept on every platform every single day of the week. For consistency and to build your brand recognition, it's actually better to have the same message across all of your channels. Number 3 in my list of consistency killers is what I call the big P and the big D: procrastination and distractions. And my friend, these can derail even the best laid plans. You need to be able to identify, though, what your distractions might be so you can create a really focused work environment for yourself in your business. What are the main distractions in your workday? How can you minimize them? And if you are prone to procrastination, you have to ask yourself why. Procrastination is often avoidance. So, what are you avoiding doing? Are you avoiding doing your marketing because you don't know how to make a reel? Are you avoiding writing an email? Whatever it is you're trying to avoid and procrastinating about, often you just need a little bit of learning, and a little bit of learning will help you move through. And to be quite frank, 9 times out of 10, what you need to know to be able to move forward, you can find for free online. So have a Google. There's probably a YouTube video somewhere about the thing that's your sticking point right now. Try and find a path forward, because those procrastinations and the distractions, the big P and the big D, are just stopping you from creating the success that you deserve to have. The next barrier, next killer of your consistency, is inconsistent messaging. Now, you have to remember that your audience are only seeing snippets of your messaging. I know you feel like everyone is seeing everything you put out there, but they aren't. There's a small percentage of your audience on each of your channels and platforms that will actually see what you share. And that is why your messaging has to be consistent across all of these platforms. Otherwise, you run the risk of confusing people. And when you confuse your audience, you weaken your brand identity. So you need to stay consistent with your messaging. This ensures that your brand, the way you show up, the message that you share, is uniform across all channels. It helps you become known as the go-to person in that field. And the final one there that I want to mention as well, that really limits your consistency, is a lack of system and a lack of process. So if you don't have an efficient system, or you haven't created a process for your marketing, it's going to be really tricky and really difficult to stay consistent. It is always going to feel like an uphill battle. So think about your business right now. Do you have the right tools? Do you have the right processes? Are you streamlining your marketing efforts? Now, this is as simple as making a plan of what you do and when. It could be that you are posting daily on social media, that you write one blog a week that comes out on a Thursday, and that you send a weekly email that comes out every week on Tuesday. That is a process. And with that process in mind, you already have a to-do list. Marketing is no longer overwhelming, and it's no longer complicated because you have a to-do list of what to do when. So let's have a think too, other ways that we can be overcoming these barriers. I have mentioned a few as we've talked through, but I want to double back here. So if we're thinking about our goals and not having clear goals as one of our consistency killers, how can we overcome this? I think you need to start looking at your business with some CEO pants on. It's time to look at it as the business owner that you are and make some goals, set some KPIs. You need ways to measure your progress. Working every day, hoping for success will never come because you don't know what success is. We need to be able to define it, set goals around it. This will keep you focused, it will keep you motivated, and it allows you too to break down those goals into actionable steps. When it comes to your marketing, some of the goals that you might like to have are growth of your email list. It might be number of discovery calls resulting from a lead magnet. It might be sign-ups for a workshop, a webinar, or a challenge. There are so many different goals and KPIs that you can set in the marketing of your business that will help you to keep defined and keep focused. The second thing that you need to do so you can get rid of these consistency killers once and for all is you need a marketing plan. You need a content calendar. You need to plan your content in advance. This will help you stay organized, and it will ensure that you always have something ready to share. You won't be stuck in that confused, overwhelmed moment of, oh my gosh, I haven't shared anything on social media in a week. I've got to say something. You don't want to be in that position. That means that you're not planned and you're not organized. So create a content calendar for yourself. This will allow you to balance the different types of contents, the different themes, the different messaging right throughout the month. And it also means that you can schedule in advance, taking all that pressure off yourself. I also think as entrepreneurs, and many of you I know are solo entrepreneurs, we cannot be very good at prioritizing and delegating. So I think it's important that that's something that we learn. We need to start learning how to share the load, how to hire people to help us. Often when I'm speaking to people in my audience, the thought of hiring help and putting on somebody can be really terrifying. They're worried about the cost. They're worried about wasting money. They're worried about it not being effective. In my experience, every time I've taken somebody on, it might take a few weeks to get them up to speed, but they have always provided so much more value that the money that I spent on them felt like it was so worthwhile. The other thing that I know to be true, every time I've taken on somebody, it's actually cost me less than I expected it to, because most of the time you're hiring an expert in a certain thing. So whether you're hiring somebody to help you with your bookkeeping or hiring someone to help you with social media, that person is an expert. They can do that thing quicker, faster, more efficient than we can. So it will cost you less than you think. It's a great idea here to identify some of the tasks that can be outsourced or automated to free up your time for those more important elements of your business. The other area that I want to mention too, while we're talking about ways to overcome these barriers, relates to something I said earlier on about a brand voice. And this is something that many solo entrepreneurs and small businesses haven't really thought about. Consistent messaging is crucial, and establishing a brand voice and a strong brand presence is part of that. But often in our excitement to start our businesses and start helping the people that we're all passionate about helping, we can forget about our brand. We might get a logo, we'll pick some colors for a website and think, right, we've ticked that box, we have a brand. We actually don't have a brand. We don't know what our brand stands for. It needs a personality all of its own. The logos, the colors, that's just a small part of it. You need to have a think about your brand in terms of, what is the mission? What are the values? What is the vision? Come back to the why. What is the big purpose of starting this business? That is where a strong brand begins. So think about it and bring that through as a cohesive experience across all of your channels, all of your platforms, and all of your messaging. So today we've been talking about consistency, because consistency is the key to building a successful business and a successful marketing strategy and actually executing it. Today, we've talked about the barriers that are standing in your way from being consistent. And those barriers to consistency are stopping you creating the business that you would love to have. Instead of having a steady flow of clients, you might be getting a steady flow of crickets. So consistency is going to be key to moving your business forward. One thing I'd like to say here as we wrap this up is, remember, consistent is not constant. They are two different terms, and I'm not asking you to be constant. I'm just asking you to be regular and reliable. So I want you to be consistent. And it's also important to remember that I'm a big believer here of taking action, taking intentional action, even if it's not perfect action, because that intentional action, it's progress. It's progress and it's moving forward. And that's what we want. So I hope you've found some great tips today. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have enjoyed the episode, I'd love for you to give me 30 seconds of your time and leave a quick review. Stay consistent, my friends. Stay focused on your goals and where you're heading. And I'm sure you will overcome those killers of consistency too. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Empowered Marketing Unleashed. Thank you for listening to the Wellness Business Academy podcast with me, Cass Duffill. If you are interested in growing your practice, come get my free guide, The Practice Success Toolkit, at cassduffill.com or grab it in the show notes. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.